And who you are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Gabriel, and today is Wednesday, the last day of the month, March 31st. And we are coming to you live again here with an awesome interview from Online Digital Education Mastery, which is my community of educators that collaborate with each other to share experiences, to help each other out so that everybody can ascend and, be successful. And today we have a very special guest. We have a gentleman by the name of George Kotis, Mr. Strictly Business, and we're going to be discussing the paradigm shift in the financial sector and how to gain back your financial sovereignty and identity. And that's a powerful conversation to have in a short period of time. So let me tell you a little bit about who George is. George is originally from way down under in Australia. And George is currently living the dream in Bangkok, Thailand. He is a lifelong entrepreneur, businessman, philosopher, and philanthropist. As if all that is not enough, George is also one of the most positive guys on the internet. And he's spreading love and encouragement to the masses on a daily basis. I know this because he spreads a lot of that to me. 3 words come to mind that inspired me to have the privilege to reach the masses through the information on his website, and they are health, wealth, and happiness. And George's quote is, "My life mission is to help others be the best version of themselves and leave my world a better place." And those are really good words, George. So everybody, welcome George Kotis. George, thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate the time that you're giving us. How are you today?
Very humbled and very grateful to have this opportunity to share a snippet about my life, about, what I do in my world to help others have a better day and make my world a better place. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And, you must be very busy because as an entrepreneur, businessman, philosopher, philanthropist, you must have, I can only imagine, one of the busiest schedules than any president in any country. And now you're taking the time to give me 30 minutes, and I do appreciate that. And I think that my community and anybody else will benefit from listening to your insights.
Thank you, Gabriel. That's very nice of you to say that.
You're welcome. And you're also an avid, let's say, cryptocurrency expert, right? Like you buy and hold and trade. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. I wouldn't say an expert, but learning progress, right? Just learn and you earn.
Yeah. Sure. Learning and earning is something that I tell my teacher community a lot. So, George, tell us a bit about yourself. What drives you? What's your why?
Well, that's a very good question. I'll go back a little bit. I was raised in Australia, as you said earlier, from quite a very strong Greek background, and manners and old-fashioned manners and old-fashioned ways was very much a part of my life. And, my parents taught me about respecting others, and always being humble and grateful for who you are and what you have. And that's kind of followed through. Now, I'm 53 now. I feel like I'm living, maybe like the second chapter of my life. The first 50 years was in Australia. And I found love here. So I've come to Thailand, and it's been the best decision I've ever made in the last, 2 years I've been here. And I thought I just came here for love. So to answer your question about what's my biggest why, since COVID hit the last year and a half, it really kind of brings you back to basics, like you really want to start appreciating what you have and where you've come from, because a lot of things I see here, and no disrespect to the country in Thailand, but a lot of poverty. I see a lot of things that kind of make me feel uncomfortable. And so I made a decision in the heart of COVID that I want to help these people and build rice farms up in the north east pocket of Thailand. Why that? It's where my fiance is from a place called Mahasarakam, which is about 700 kilometers northeast of Bangkok, where I am.
Right.
And because rice is, 80% of their diet. So, and I want to have the opportunity, give these people an opportunity so they can eat again. They're starving. There's no jobs. You know how it goes. It's like that in most countries, right? But even more so, I believe, in countries like Thailand. So yeah, so my biggest why now is more so for philanthropic projects. All the businesses that I do, the heart of it is to collect funds to help others. Like I've had a very good life. I can't complain, Gabriel. I've seen the world, what part of the world that I've wanted to see anyway. I've had a very, very good life, very, very lucky, great education, great love, really good parents. So I'm very grateful. So I believe now at my age, it's time to give back, right? So that's what I've decided to do. I'm on a mission to give back and not make it. It's not about me anymore. It really is about the people. And I have a big heart for these people, Gabriel, because they're just wonderful. They just can't do enough for you. Not many of them do speak English, but you know what? When there's a will, there's a way, and they try so hard to communicate. And we get there in the end. But yeah, they're just wonderful, respectful people. And all they ask is to be treated with respect. And it goes a long way here. It really does. So yeah, I hope that answers a little bit about my question about my why. It's a very big part of me right now.
It's a very good part of you. It's a very good part of just about anybody who is an altruist or a philanthropist or somebody who has a life purpose of wanting to share their experiences with more, let's say, disadvantaged communities.
Yes.
I live in Ecuador, and coming from the United States, a lot of people may not understand from foreign countries the advantages that we have because it's a more forward progress type of country. But the same thing happens in the United States where you have, poor communities and things like that. And that's a shame only because it's the United States. There should be zero disadvantages there in poor communities. But like I said, I'm in Ecuador, and, coming out here, I came out here when I was 50. I'm 55 now. And the thing is that, I've seen the poor communities here, and I've seen what is considered to be middle class really is not. It's almost like, there's so much denial about the lifestyle here that I too would like to try to contribute, and I do on a daily basis, to give people information, empower them mentally, because it's all about that mindset.
Yes.
If you accept being poor-minded over time, you believe it so much that, it becomes an impossible vision or
Absolutely.
dream when somebody says to you, if you do it different, it'll help you grow as a community and everybody can prosper. But that's a big task in itself, So
yeah,
what
that's
you're
so
doing,
true, Gabriel.
yeah, it really is. So what you're doing in terms of trying to help people, that's great. It's no different than what I'm trying to do with educators. But with the same idea, based on a growth mindset, because the false beliefs and the limitations that people learn throughout life is what dictates whether they are poor, whether they subject themselves to be poor and feel dependent on government. That's the whole control mission in life.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the world is an employee of their government. So if the government can keep you working for them, and keep you impoverished, they win all the time. But if we take an opportunity to learn how to change that mindset, that in itself is a beautiful thing, because now, a person who starts to replace those, limitations can really thrive and grow and do great things for their own communities, their own families. Basically, they do not have to subject themselves to being poor. One of the best sayings that I've heard, and I think this came from Robert Kiyosaki, is being being broke is temporary, but being poor, that's eternal. And it's all about the mindset, right? When we allow ourselves to think poorly, we continue to nourish that way of life. And it becomes complacency. Complacency is a killer of dreams. And people find it difficult to have that positive thought, to replace that negativity, to replace those false beliefs. But it takes work to do the great stuff in life. And complacency is what kills people's dreams. They decide, well, I don't have the willpower. Well, willpower is one of the habits that people need to acquire to be able to succeed in life, And your message will come across, I'm sure, because that's what you do. Tell me, George, what's your take on sovereignty?
Okay, that's a very good question. To answer that, I just want to go back a little bit more towards what you've just been saying. Unfortunately, over the years, governments have done a good job to brainwash the masses, the mundane, to believe and scare tactics, that everything has to be done exactly their way, their agenda. Unfortunately, most of the time, their agenda isn't really for the people, for the best interest of the people.
No, it isn't.
So, again, this is one thing that came to surface in a powerful way for me during this COVID, what we call the new reality, or the new way of living, so to speak. And you, as a human being, we all have the potential to have thoughts and to have choices. Now, you need to realize that you actually have personal power. You can choose which direction you want to go. Right. And what I mean by that is there is a better way. Starting with sovereignty, it means being totally protected under one. With financial sovereignty means protection of your finances, so that no one can have access to your account. So this is something that has come to me in the last 6 months or so, and which I'm happy to share to people, that there is a better way. The old banking system, or the old way of doing business, is slowly going to diminish, Gabriel.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, I believe you'll see the rundown of banks, and more so of people acquiring their own accounts, that they'll be able to have full control of their funds and their crypto. Crypto is now becoming, something that more people are being aware on a daily basis and exposed to on a daily basis. There's so many benefits to crypto, and so people do now have a choice to get away from the traditional banking system. There is a way around that to protect your identity, protect your sovereignty, protect your family from being bullied. So if you don't do this, then they can freeze your account. They can do many, many things, as you know. So that's the good news, that there is a solution for people now that are looking for a better way and for a home for their hard-earned money that's going to be well protected, secure, and they can rest peacefully that nothing's going to happen, and no one can see your account. No one's got access to your account. And this is very, very important, Gabriel. It's hard to make money, harder to keep it. So if we can show people a better way, not only to keep it, but to make it grow as well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
It's a very good thing. COVID-19 exposed humanity's vulnerabilities. And that's something that I read last year, and it's still stuck to my head, and I still speak those very same exact words. It has exposed humanity's vulnerabilities. And one of the most vulnerable things that people know that they've always been vulnerable to is losing their income, their wages, for whatever natural disaster. But this is not a natural disaster. I personally feel that COVID-19 is part of the planned obsolescence. It's part of the bigger plan to reduce population, to transition people to work online and to continue working for the government at a bigger scale.
Yes.
The whole thing is that, like you say, sovereignty. Sovereignty means, to self-govern with authority.
Right.
To have the power to self-govern your finances is one of the key things. And when COVID struck, a lot of people, they ran for the hills. They said, oh no, and they said, God help me, or my government help me. But those few who stuck around, they says, you know what, I'm gonna find a way to make this happen for myself, because I have some kind of experience that I can monetize. And last year, and I didn't make this up, I mean, this is public information. Last year was one of the highest years in decades of entrepreneurs rising on something on the internet. And that is extraordinary, because that shows resiliency in people, right? Who said, you know what, it's right, enough is enough. I just got caught with my pants down, and I can't let this happen again. I'm one of those. I jumped on the internet. I was already working on the internet, which I still do. But I needed a plan B. I didn't want to be an employee for somebody else. It's like in a brick and mortar environment, right? You have your regular job, then you have a part-time job, but you still work for somebody else. Well, online, you have a regular job and you have a side hustle. It's still a part-time job working for somebody else. I didn't want that. I wanted a plan B where I can monetize my experience and learn how to serve, people, solve problems, because I actually learned that that's the terminology that I was looking for. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I knew I did not want to work for somebody else. I wanted to monetize what I know already. And, here we are from August of last year till this month. One of the best decisions that I made was exactly that, to take control of my financial future,
yes,
to invest in myself, to learn how to monetize my experience, to help people who are going like this right now. The masses are saying, government, please help me. Like in the United States, they're like, oh, where's my stimulus check? If you only realize that a $1,400 stimulus check is not going to last you longer than 30 days, based on the American habit of spending, what's the sense of begging your government to bail you out? Bail yourself out, because you can, And then moving forward, like you said, working in a blockchain environment on the universe, because the internet is universal. It's not, planet Earth. It's beyond planet Earth. And the blockchain is a technology right now that deregulates conventional banking. So until they figure out how to do that, this is the opportunity for everybody to jump on that, invest in themselves with knowledge and skills to know how to manage their money online and thrive, so that when the next catastrophe hits, because again, governments are always going to be looking for reasons to want to close people down, oppress you, keep you broke and convinced that you work for us. And because you work for us, we're giving you the privilege of life so that you can go to the movies or do this and that. That's not the era that we live in anymore. But again, people are struggling to want to grasp that concept. They're afraid. They're afraid to want to believe in themselves.
That's so true. Took the words right out of my mouth, Gabriel. And that's where they want us. They want us at a level of fear where we're surrendered to them. And yes, we'll feed you a little bit, but you need to do this. There's always conditions, right?
Right.
So So the financial paradigm shift is saying, hey, people, come over here. There's a community where you don't need to live by those old rules.
Right.
We'll show you how to gain your financial sovereignty and live a life of peace and harmony with your family and your friends, knowing that you're protected and knowing that you are in full control of your destiny. And that's what we're doing. We're growing a community of people that are getting their life back, through financial freedom, through this new way of doing business. And I tell you what, people are getting it, It is a paradigm shift.
Yes.
It is a paradigm shift. It's taking people away from the traditional banks and onto a new platform which is secure.
Right.
And on top of that, we also have a secure platform of communication whereby we actually have a blockchain platform where you and I can message each other, and it's totally secure. It's off the blockchain. So no big brother watching or listening or reading your messages or listening to our conversations. And that's important to a lot of people, Gabriel. Their privacy is their privacy,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, once they find out of this way of communicating, they'll jump on it. It's a really cool way of communicating with your friends, your family, your business associates, on a secure blockchain where no one can get access to your conversation. No one can get access to what you're saying, what you're writing, what videos you're sharing or talking about. It's totally secure, Gabriel, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing for the people.
That is a very good thing. You said fear several times, and when people fear something, okay, that creates confusion in their mind. When they are confused, they usually say no, because, excuse me, what's the sense of, going after something that they fear? So they rather stay safe, play it safe, and, wait it out. It's not going to happen. And history has proven that. We're talking about, gaining your own sovereignty. Excuse me. Your financial sovereignty and your identity, especially now in this digital era. What's your thought on the current traditional banking system? Does it have a future with people?
Definitely not. It's broken. The answer is not to keep printing out greenbacks. No. That's not the answer. All it's doing is raising inflation and making banks more desperate and trying to look for more ways to tax people because they're not making what they used to make in the past. So it has to come from somewhere, right? It comes from us, the everyday, the hard-working person. Mm-hmm. Enough is enough, Gabriel. Right. No, we say no to that. We say no to that. We say, here's a solution. You have a chance. You have a way to move away from that broken system. I don't know about the US, but in Australia, they just passed legislation that banks can now freeze your account for no reason at any time.
Wow.
No excuse. Now, where's the safety in that? If you've got your money in there and it's frozen, or they try to blackmail you, say, look, if you don't do this, then, we're going to freeze your assets, or if we've noticed you haven't paid your tax, or you have noticed you haven't done this or that. No one has the right to control your money. Why? It's your money. You worked for it, right?
It's government.
It's your money. So all I'm basically trying to say today is, looking at it from a positive perspective, there is a solution. If people are sick and tired of being bullied and feel pressured and insecure with the current system, there is a way. I'm happy to talk to anyone. I'm happy to give suggestions on what I'm doing and what a lot of people that are following me that are doing and are getting great success out of in the new system. You know, we're basically building our own ecosystem, so to speak, our own community. The founder of the company that I'm involved with often talks about, at the moment, we're building a small city, but in the future, we're building a country. What he's talking about is seeing millions of people, you know, that have had enough of the old way, that want something that's going to benefit them, something that's going to help them in their future. That's the way. That's the future. That's where I see it. And it's like, I compare it to, if you don't accept it, and that's including trading with crypto and doing business with crypto, if you just basically a fiat kind of person, old-fashioned, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but you will be left behind, because it's almost comparing it to the Kodak days when Kodak was around and they didn't transition from the, you know, from the film to the digital. They went out of business. They didn't change with the times. So we need to adapt to the new world, you know, the new, you know, call it the new normal, as they're calling it, right?
Right.
And we have a solution that's going to counteract what these governments and other people that have planned for us. We can go against that. We still have a choice. We still have a choice. And I believe with our community and what we're doing is for the people first. It's back, giving power back to the people. And that's very important.
Right. I agree with everything that you're saying, you know, especially how, you know, we make less and less money. We work more and more hours, you know, to acquire less and less things, you know, and we get more in debt every year simply because that's the way we've been taught, right? You know, you get into more debt so that you can survive. And then at the end of the year, you know, what happens is you pass away and there's a death tax, at least in the United States. They tax you on death to your family. It's like your family member died. Well, he didn't pay his bills, so now you owe us that plus the tax. And it's like, are you kidding me? You know, there's definitely no sovereignty in that. You know, but I find it humorous because, you know, I've known this all my life, and you know, again, it's just recently in my life where I decided to take a stand for myself, and it feels good moving forward. You know, because when I left as an expat and I came to Ecuador in 2017, my whole purpose was to look at my future in a way where I can, you know, salvage the rest of my life financially without feeling cash strapped in the US. So I'm in a country where the GDP is 4 times less than the US, you know, so $1 here, you know, or $1 is 25 cents here.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and it goes a lot further, 4 times further, you know. And the thing is that people are still trying to hang on. You know, this hope, you know, doesn't help anybody. You know, this, you know, my government, this doesn't help anybody. And it's amazing the control that government and religion has on people's minds to keep them paying, you know, instead of release yourself from that. Become a free thinker, become independent, and realize that your life is based on one major factor: personal economy. Without a personal economy, we can't thrive, you know? And the future of blockchain, it's already here. It's not new.
It is.
You know, Bitcoin started it all back in 2009. Altcoin was the next one to follow. And I remember that because I bought a mining kit, I think it was in 2010, 2012, and I started mining altcoin, which was the #2 cryptocurrency back then.
Yes.
And, you know, the thing was that I didn't realize it was going to jack up my electric bill 4 times the value. I was paying, I was shocked. I was paying around $50 a month regularly without my mining. And when I started mining altcoin, my electric bill went up to about $200 a month. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, even before I was making any money.
Yeah.
So I had to shut it down because that was a little stressful for me. I was like, I can't afford that, you know. But right now, people can afford that. or afford, better said, to look at cryptocurrency market, the credible cryptocurrency market. And I say that because,
Correct.
last time I looked, there was like over 2,000 type of cryptos.
Yeah.
I consider the top 100 to be something to consider. So, what's your long-term vision with GS Partners over the
Okay.
next 5 to 10 years, which is the cryptocurrency
Great
blockchain that you represent?
question. And you just said something that's important that I little side note here.
Hmm.
You mentioned there's so many cryptocurrencies now, right, to choose from. So how
Right.
do you choose, apart from the obvious, the top 10? How
Right.
do you choose? How do you know which ones have potential to grow, like maybe the next Bitcoin, right? Well, no one has a crystal ball.
Right.
We can only base decisions based on facts, and we have to look at the ecosystem. Okay, what's behind the coin? What are they doing to create demand? What's their strategy to create demand for this coin?
Right.
It can't just be based on hype. There has to be activity in the background. There has to be things going on to help boost the price of this coin. There has to be a long-term project. So you've got to look at that. You've got to look at the company who's behind it, their experience. Very, very important, Gabriel. Now, to answer your question, the company that I'm involved with, yes, it's called GS Partners. It's owned by a billionaire out of Europe, Mr. Joseph Haidt, and he is creating this community for all of us to join with him for a better way of life, a more secure way of life with your finances. And as you said, can be a side hustle for you if there's more people that have started an online business in this last 12 months than ever before in history. I think you touched on it earlier, right?
Right.
And this company, GS Partners, we're really at the infant stage. It was only launched in December, so we're still actually in a pre-launch stage. The company GS Partners was actually started in 2012. He has his own merchant bank. Okay, his background is in gold and silver. Okay, and he felt he wanted to bring to the market a coin that was going to contend with the top three at the moment, and that's what we're doing. We're really at the infancy of this project, but I'm happy to share information to the people out there, those that feel that are suffering, that there's an old saying goes that if you keep doing what you're doing and expect a different result, then that's kind of the definition of insanity, right?
Right.
So if you're sick of doing if what you're doing isn't working for you financially, if you feel that Big Brother's watching, or you feel that your money isn't secure, there is a solution, and I'm more than happy just to share the information with you. And we're all adults. We all have we can all make our own minds, and many people are really taken to this, really understand, getting it. They can see that it's the future, the future, the way of doing business, and they're coming on board. So it's a beautiful thing to know that, for example, when you're using one of our MasterCards, you know that the fees, right, go back to the people. It doesn't go back to a bank. Isn't that a beautiful thing? People like you and me get to share in the making money from the fees, So again, another brilliant idea, that you have an opportunity to become your own merchant bank through GS Partners, through a product called GS Lifestyle. So yeah, I see a big future. It's going to be, it's a great community, and it's growing by the day. And I really feel blessed and very grateful that I'm part of this company, and I'm doing my bit to help people enjoy a better way of doing their business, whether it's with their cryptocurrency or their fiat money, or if they're just looking for a side hustle, as you said. We have all that in place for them. So
Fantastic.
yeah, I'm so happy. I feel, I'm so passionate to talk about this because I've already seen firsthand people, that it's helped. It's helped them. It's improved their lifestyle. It's improved their money. They've got extra income where they never had before last year, and that's a good thing, right?
It should be. It should be a good thing, but again, it's all about how, and of course, in my opinion, how people approach their financial life, their financial future, based on how they were or how they've learned to manage their money. See, a lot of us have never learned to handle or manage our money properly, not in any education system. And even if you are an MBA or a financial consultant, again, based on all traditional way of thinking, it's not a free thinking way of doing it. And you touched upon something that I find very interesting, which is, merchant banking, right? Or being your own merchant bank. Right now, the way I learned it in the United States, there's only one true way for people to become their own personal banker. But it's not publicized at all. It's never been publicized, and they're never going to tell you this, because as long as you work and pay taxes, you have zero sovereignty. And that is a trust fund. You see, over the last 125 years or more in the United States, a trust fund, which is attached to a term life insurance policy. And this is why most people don't know about this, because they scoff at insurance. A term life insurance policy is something that you pay into, a monthly premium in the event that you die. But all that money sits in an account. It's your money. And the thing is that after 7 years of accumulating this money, you actually get paid a 5% dividend annually. So this is the brick and mortar way of creating your own bank. And once 7 years hits, now you're able to draw a loan on your money, because it will be a loan from your money that you will pay back in interest like you are a bank, and you should. And that gets people acclimated to understanding how to be their own bank. Just because it's your money doesn't mean you can't borrow against it and pay it back with interest, because that's the important part. You pay yourself back with interest, and now your money grows exponentially as you're still earning 5% dividends annually.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, actually very few people in the United States, have a trust fund, because their parents have created generational wealth over time through this, and it allows you to reduce your taxes, and it becomes a tax shelter. This is a subject that we can talk about this for hours.
Absolutely.
But right now in the digital era, this 21st century, what is comparable to having your own trust fund on the internet, on the digital banking arena? Well, cryptocurrency is. Yeah. Especially those who are working with a blockchain technology, that is secure, that is stable, and that has a future. Bitcoin right now, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, if I'm correct, are like the big
yes,
three.
That's another big one. It's coming up.
And those three are starting to become untouchable for the average person.
They are.
But I'm looking at the top 100. You said the top 10. I'm looking at the top 100. And why do I say that? Because globally, I think if I'm kind of correct, we have about 220 countries that have government, that are regulated by government. And those 220 countries have currency, their own currency. So if we're looking at the top 100 cryptocurrencies, that still leaves room, to trust in another 120 per country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So top 10 to top 100 to me is like what's happening now. Bitcoin is probably going to become and will be what we know today as the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, of the cryptocurrencies.
Basically,
they're the ones who are going to dictate. Right. Yeah, they're going to dictate how money flows on in the blockchain, and since they're the richest one, it's probably going to go through them. And then everybody else becomes, as big and as promising. But those like GS Partners, you mentioned that they are creating, a community that is being supportive, to those who need to understand how to handle or manage their cryptocurrency. One of the biggest problems that people have today is understanding, well, if I buy crypto, how do I cash out physically, in money in my country so I can use it? And that has yet to be something that, has been, taught or learned, because nobody talks about that. But you have something with GS Partners that seems to be the first opportunity to understand how to convert crypto to cash money in your country.
Yeah, we've solved it. I mean, if you look at as human beings, if you look at marketing, the biggest service industry, or that makes the most money, is the word convenience. Anything in a service industry that's convenient for people, are generally lazy. They want the easy way out. They want convenience, right? They don't want to be going through, doors and gates they want it easy. They want, how do I do this? 1, 2, 3, done. So, and convenience is the highest selling service in the world, right? So we've got that covered. But Gabriel, what's more important is we teach people to become their own merchant banks. So that way you've got the card, you're enjoying the services, and then you've got an opportunity to share that with your friends, your family, your business associates, right? So look, if you use this card, it's a safe way of holding your cash, holding your crypto. You can convert crypto to fiat to crypto.
When you say card, you're talking about a crypto MasterCard that's backed up by MasterCard, that's associated with, the account or the blockchain account. And
that's right.
Does it provide people with the flexibility?
Yeah, it gives people full flexibility and fully convenient, as far as you mentioned before, like people that have crypto that are, okay, so how do I cash it out? And up until now, we are the first in the world to come up with a real solution that people can convert their crypto into say US dollars, for example, go down to the local ATM machine and take the money out if they choose to, or pay for a cup of coffee, or pay for their bills, or use it as any other kind of MasterCard, right? But the beautiful thing is, what I'm trying to say is, when you share this new concept, this new way of banking with people that
right,
every time they go and make a swipe, pay for a bill, take money out of the ATM machine, you become the bank. The fees, the merchant fees, go to you, back to the people, not to a bank. And that's what I was saying before. It's a beautiful thing that it's a company for the people and giving sovereignty back to the people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And again, that to me sounds like forward progress. I read a lot about what's going on in the crypto world. I understand there's still a lot of volatility, and at least it's presented that way, the instability, But one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest, questions that people have is, how do I convert my crypto back to money? Because my government, my city where I live in, they don't accept a MasterCard with cryptocurrency. I got to pay bills. How do I convert my crypto? If I got, $1 million in cryptocurrency, how do I convert that to dollars? So if GS Partners, as a merchant bank, has MasterCard backing them up on a crypto MasterCard, that you can buy and sell your cryptocurrency and convert that to any type of fiat money,
Correct.
In cash, That's a resolution that a lot of people must be
Yeah, baby.
really wondering, like, oh my God, is that for real? Because if it's real, I want to get involved, because that was one of my biggest concerns. You know, I've bought Bitcoin in the past, and I had to spend Bitcoin as Bitcoin. I didn't know how to convert it, even though I had a cryptocurrency wallet. And, you know, I mined altcoin. And even though I had it in a digital wallet, a crypto wallet, I still couldn't find a way to want to convert that to cash, to its equivalent, its cash value. So having a crypto MasterCard sounds extraordinary. The fact that it says MasterCard, backed up by MasterCard, and it is a billionaire, you know, who's putting all his reputation, I would presume, you know, in front of this GS Partners, you know, that sounds like something that to me is worth exploring. It really is. Wow, George, this is amazing.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Gabriel, it's true residual income, right? It's not a get rich quick. It's a little bit of a side hustle, but, you know, through word of mouth, you know, if you're on a good thing, you're going to tell your friend, right? They're going to tell their friend, and so on and so forth, right? So over a 2 or 3 year period, there may be 1 million cards floating around that started with you. You started the seed. You planted the seed, right? Now, could you imagine getting paid 1 million swipes a day from people around the world, and they're paying you?
Sure.
That's true residual income, right?
That would be true residual income. You know, also considering that, you know, over time, things get tweaked and refined to conform to what is the current time. You know, I'd like to believe that 5 years from now, I would be swiping and getting recurring income from somebody else's swipe on the other side of the planet.
It's happening right now.
But that might change also. And that's just me being me, you know. I'm thinking that way because, again, based on life experience, you know, things get tweaked and adjusted to conform with the current times. And in 5 years from now, if that doesn't change, fantastic. But if it changes, as long as it's, you know, for the better of the people, that in itself to me will be more than well worth it.
Most important thing, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, Sandra Scott. Fantastic. All right, so, George, this has been an exhilarating conversation.
Thank you, sir.
You really brought a lot of value, you know, to this live. I hope that, you know, my teacher community can benefit from this, and anybody else listening, because I think it's important that people understand that, you know, because it's crypto, doesn't mean that it has to be confusing. It's just part of what's happening moving forward, right?
Yes,
the same way we had to jump online and try to find ourselves by being entrepreneurs, now we have to figure out how to handle our money and protect our sovereignty and our identity with the blockchain technology that already exists. It's not new. It already exists, and it's proven technology, which is even better. So don't be fearful, okay? You know, don't doubt yourself. Believe, have faith in yourself to be able to move forward and understand what your future, what your magnificence in the future is all about. Sometimes you just got to verify. And if you trust and verify nowadays, you'll be a lot better off than just trusting. I like to verify everything that we talk about, you know. So this is Gabriel, and we are signing out with Online Digital Education, a community of educators. And that's what we do. We collaborate with each other to share information, credible information, so that everybody can succeed and ascend and be successful. There's no competition here. If you compete, I kick you out. You know, I'd like to work with people who are not toxic, who actually want to help each other. And I think that's more important now than it was ever, you know. So
Absolutely.
Be supportive. George, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. I really appreciate it. I look forward to speaking to you again. And everybody, thank you. If you have any comments for George and you want to reach out, George is on Facebook. You can find him at george.kotis.9, or you can email George at dreamastra@gmail.com. Or if you have a Telegram account, you can find George at GK2236.
Okay.
Contact George today if you want to get involved in the GS Partners Crypto MasterCard program that is backed up by a billionaire.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. You have a great day, and God bless.
Thank you, guys. Bye.